let's take a look at this problem. We got 6 plus 4i over 1 minus I. And key item here is we don't want any imaginary numbers in our denominator. So when you have a real part and an imaginary part, you're going to multiply the top and bottom by the conjugate of the bottom. Now conjugate means the first is the same, the last is the same. So 1, 1. I and I. But the sign in the middle is different. This is a minus, so this has to be a plus. And whatever you multiply by the bottom, you have to multiply by the top. Well, up on top, we're going to have 6 plus 4i times 1 plus I. Now down below, the nice part about conjugates is all you have to do is multiply your first parts together and your last parts. So 1 times 1 and negative I times I. Now up on top, we're going to multiply everything together, FOIL it. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times I is 6i. 4i times 1 is 4i. And 4i times I gives us 4i squared. Over 1 times 1 is 1 minus I times I is I squared. Now combine together like items. 6i plus 4i is 10i. And we can't have any I squareds, so we're going to replace those with negative 1. So I got 4 times negative 1. And down here I'll have 1 minus, and we'll replace this I squared with negative 1. So we got 6 plus 10i. 4 times 1 is negative 4. And negative negative gives us a positive, so we got 1 plus 1. Back up on top, 6 minus 4 is 2 plus 10i over 1 plus 1 is 2. Now whenever you have an imaginary part, you want to split it apart. Your real part separate from the imaginary. So put the 2 over the 2 plus 10 over 2 with an I to the side. So real part separate from the imaginary. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. So we end up with 1 plus 5i. Now in theory, you can do this one in the calculator. The previous one I had a little bit of trouble doing in the calculator, and it's a flaw with this emulator, not with the calculator itself. Whenever you have more than a single number or a single variable or a single I, you have to put parentheses around that part when we're talking about fractions. So when I plug this in, I'm going to put parentheses around the top, parentheses around the bottom. So let's plug that in. You pretty much type it in exactly as you see it. So I'm going to do a beginning parentheses, 6 plus 4i. And I'll do second decimal, closing parentheses, divided by, beginning parentheses, 1 minus I. And I'll do second decimal for the I, and the closing parentheses, and then enter. And we get our 1 plus 5i. Now before, I couldn't change these to fraction. When I did a math, enter, it gave me that data type error you see there. Now that's not normal. Normally you won't see that. But anyway, this one didn't matter because it didn't have fractions. But on your calculator, you should not get that. If you ever get decimals when doing these, just do math, enter.